Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Vibing with TJ podcast. I'm your host, TJ. I ain't even gonna get into the spill all of that right now. Happy Friday. Cheers to the weekend. All the good stuff because we got to get back to it. She left us with a cliffhanger last week, and I want to know what's going on. So we got guests from last week, Miss Mika Lou. So we're gonna get right back into it. So uh last week we left off with y'all broke up after 6 months. Jesus. Lord have mercy. I was I ain't gonna lie, I'll tell you that hurt my feelings a little bit. Like that's all of that y'all went through to go be in a relationship for 6 months and break up. That hurt my feelings. So wow. So I'm gonna let you get right in back into it. So what led to the breakup, I guess, and what transpired after that. So you got the floor.
So on the surface, there was no issues. There was no
Okay.
issues. We didn't argue. We didn't. There was no tension between us.
Okay.
I had just moved closer to where he lived, but not for him, for career wise.
Okay.
Um, I had just moved closer, so I'm like, oh, so that the whole time we were long distance. We were um like 3.5, 4 hours apart.
Okay.
We were
Not
long
too bad.
distance, but we saw each other regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was, we both would work from home. It was COVID, so the restrictions weren't really there. We could kind of move how we wanted to move, so we saw each other on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so on the surface, we were good. On the
Okay.
surface, we were good. There were no issues. There were no complaints,
Mm-hmm.
to my knowledge, because I didn't have a reason to say that this was not a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, except um, he always had me to pray, which was annoying for me. Now,
Okay. I thought
um,
that was a good thing.
no. So for me, for Omika, I'm really, really big on a man leading me in all realms. And leading me spiritually is a huge one. And it bothered me that he always would like, Mika, you pray for us. You pray over our food. You pray over the house. You pray. And I was like, dude, you're good in a lot of different ways, but I don't like that you don't pray aloud for me in person and all that good stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one thing that bothered me, but it wasn't it trying to say it without jumping ahead. At that time it wasn't a deal breaker. Okay. I was okay with a man saying he believed in God. I gave the reasoning of everybody's on their own journey, right? Everybody's on their own journey, their own path. So I accepted, oh, he believes in God, we straight. So it didn't really bother
Okay.
me a whole lot. So on the surface, we were good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I had just moved in. He just helped me like literally a week later. His text messaging became really weird. And I was like, this is not like him. And sex was big in our relationship. And he said he denied having sex with me once. I was like, that ain't ever happened. I was like, I'm confused. And like 2 days later, he broke up with me via text. Now, it was yeah, text. And I was at work, so I couldn't really respond
Ooh, that's a coward move right there. But go ahead.
like I wanted to. So here's the thing that was interesting. So it was Mother's Day weekend. and he cooked for me on a regular basis. So it was Mother's Day weekend. Um, he had met my children a couple of months prior, and he always had his son with him. So, but whenever his son was around, I wasn't around because we hadn't gotten to that level yet.
Okay.
Um, it was a mutual thing. It wasn't a I don't want you to meet my son, even though I met your daughter, blah blah blah.
Okay.
It was so um
Spring outside. Spring outside.
thank you.
Good morning.
I said that we was conversing and having a conversation and making plans for Mother's Day weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and I brought it to his attention. I was like, "Hey, do you realize this will be my first time meeting your son and his mom?" And he was like, "Oh man, I didn't pay that any attention because we planned him meeting my children. We didn't plan me meeting his son."
Got
Um,
you.
so I'm a very respectful person. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
very cordial person. I don't like beef. I don't like drama. I don't like et cetera, et cetera. So I said, could you ask his mom what time she's coming over? I would like to get her a gift, a card, some flowers, something, to just let her know that, you know, I respect her. I respect who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to start off our relationship in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Okay.
That was me, right?
Yeah, I get that. I really do.
I get a text from him. Sorry, she's stuck in a stick.
Oh God.
I don't know. I'm
No, no, not a
okay.
stick.
I get a text from him. He was at work because we're communicating via text
Mm-hmm.
at this time. I get a text from him. It says that his son's no longer coming to the house, so it'll just be me and him. I thought
Okay.
that was strange because he always has his son.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like, oh, he'll be here today, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go do my
Mm-hmm.
thing because we're not around. We're not there.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not coming. It's like that's weird, but he didn't say anything else. And I noticed that his mood and energy was just really extremely weird when I
Mm-hmm.
finally got with him that night. And I was like, this is like, what's up? What's wrong? Like, what's going on? What you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And he just did not say a lot. Well, his son came the next day, so I realized, oh, it was canceled because I was
What? Baby mama? The other baby mama?
his son's mom, his ex-wife, had an issue. So I'm like, ain't that a coincidence? That
Hmm.
was Mother's Day, which is
My
Sunday.
my my spidey sense is tingling, but go ahead.
That was Mother's Day. That was Sunday. He broke up with me like 2 days later.
Okay. Golly.
2 days later, I was like, I'm thoroughly confused. Like, what's
Mm-hmm. What's going
so?
on?
He didn't have a conversation with me. He had a death in the family. So I was out of town. We didn't have a conversation. Um, his birthday was coming up. I unfortunately had already made plans. So I was like, I've already purchased items, already made plans. I can't get my money back. Let's at least celebrate your birthday and you go about your business. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very transparent. Now I wasn't honest, but I was transparent.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't honest by saying, I didn't go into details like, of course I want to be with you, et cetera, et cetera. I just was like, you know what, I already paid for this. Let's just celebrate your birthday and go about your way. Celebrated his birthday. We were back together after I came back from out of town. Um, but it still was off. It was still off, and then
Mm-hmm.
we still were sexual. Um, August came, was our last sexual experience, and it was actually within that week time period when I got pregnant with our now daughter.
Oh, wow.
And so, and the funny thing, well, I ain't gonna say that, but that's when I got pregnant with our now daughter.
Okay.
So I went through and didn't, and like it was an abrupt cutoff when I told him about her. Um, it was a like he had never been rude to me. He had never raised his voice at me. He had never like he was like a light switch. He was a completely different person. He was not the person that I had known, I had met, I had spent time with. It was like a man I didn't know. And he abruptly just cut everything off. Like it was so weird. And they're like, "Oh, he didn't have sex." When I say that man catered to me, that man catered to me.
Wow.
That man catered to me. I would wake up with breakfast. I would it, he would come to the house and make sure that things were like situated. Like he did a lot of things that a lot of women desire. I did.
Okay. So it's gonna work. Like so, man, 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 boy. So I was touched on a little bit last week how I can relate to some of her stuff, and I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, we've gone through a lot of similar experiences. I don't didn't have an experience quite like hers, but I did meet someone that I like. When I say I vibed with, the connection was out of this world. Out of this world. We never made it that far where she was. We would never sexual or anything like that because I have a strict rule, a very hard rule now. And that's I guess that just from me having my own celibacy journey, that we were not having sex until everything was official. Like the title had to be on. That conversation has to be had. But any clothes or drawers coming off over here. So, so no, we never got to that point where she was at with her partner. But I can definitely relate to that connection.
I
Oh,
heard everything you said. So okay, let me jump ahead. So we broke up. We never spoke
okay,
again. I told him I
okay.
was pregnant with our now daughter. He told me to abort her and to never talk to him again. And I was
Whoa.
like, my God, like my heart was crushed. Um, and I do mean crushed. Like he was just cruel. He was just very cruel, very rude. And this was because I was so crushed because I was intentional with this relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not intentional with anything or anyone that I don't plan on being committed to. So I was heartbroken.
I
Um,
understand.
and I took it bad. I took it very, very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I started going further into the world. I started like, you know what? I just want to be like a modern hippie. I would just want to smoke weed and do life and just live free.
Oh, okay. So it kind of took you on a different road in your spiritual journey a little bit. Like you
It took
did you?
me. I was all like, okay, so transparently, I didn't. I was raised in church. Church was not necessarily in me. I had always
Mm-hmm.
had one foot in the world, one foot into church. I didn't get to
Mm-hmm.
really begin to know God until I was like 30. That was my first time having a encounter with Him to
Mm-hmm.
know, okay, this God is for real. I want to be intentional.
Uh huh.
Um, and so when we broke up, I was like, I started because we would smoke weed, we would do edibles, we would drink. He was worse than me. Mine was more social. His was a form of medication.
And I'm seeing you. As soon as you said it, I was sitting here thinking like, "Ding, that's a red flag." But go ahead.
No, it became like our routine. But for me, it was
Mm.
social. It wasn't like mine was like, okay, it's Friday, we'll quote unquote turn up, but I still wasn't a heavy drinker. I still wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
heavy, but um I knew he smoked, but I didn't realize that it was a form of medication for him
Okay.
until
Okay.
later. Um so when we broke up,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't immediately know I well. So when we broke up, I was just like, I'm gonna just like officially like done. I was like, I just want to live life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. I'm in a new state. I'm gonna do my
Mm-hmm.
acting. I'm just like whatever. Well, God
Mm-hmm.
said no, ma'am.
Sit your butt down.
God said no, ma'am. You will not do such a thing. And then that's when I found out that I was pregnant,
Mm.
and I am a believer in God speaks through numbers sometimes. So I found that I was pregnant with her probably this week.
Oh my God. Look at this. Look at this.
Probably this week. So and her
That's
middle
my
name
number.
and oh, is it?
That's my number.
So
11.
so I am very big on August, the number 8, the new beginnings, and her middle name is August.
Interesting.
So um,
Wow.
I found her to be a blessing. So soon as I found out that I was pregnant with her, my intentional relationship with God started. And I do mean
Mm.
it was so intentional at that point.
Ah.
I'm still
Oh.
I was at that point that I was like, you know what? I had I had started attending a church. Um but that wasn't like the church wasn't like my turnaround. It was my daughter. I was like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? No. I can't smoke, I can't drink, I can't like it was I had to be
Yeah.
but I was so heartbroken, and I'm used to being resilient in a negative way. Let me explain.
Okay.
Most people look at resiliency as a good thing. It was a negative thing for me because I had no choice but to be strong. I had no choice but to make it work. I had no choice but to figure it out. So
Mm-hmm.
life forced me to be resilient. So when this happened and I couldn't shake it, couldn't get it together, I couldn't get I, it bothered me so much. So I knew I could no longer do this in my own strength. I knew that I could no longer be strong in my own strength.
Okay.
So I knew I had to rely on God.
Okay.
And I dove head first into my relationship with God.
Okay.
Um, so the reason why I told you to hold on to, I thought I was attracted, um, all those good things I said hold on to is because when I began having my intentional relationship with God, I did a ton of research
Mm-hmm.
on the spiritual side.
Mm-hmm.
And I do mean that's like where I get many of my revelations from.
Okay.
Um, so I began to fast and pray. Um, Not soon after I found that I was pregnant with her. And fasting and praying, fasting in general, fasting on the surface level, it cleanses you. It cleanses your mind, it cleanses your body.
Okay. That makes
Fasting
sense.
on a spiritual level cleanses your spirit. And not
Mm-hmm.
only does it cleanse your spirit, it denies your human flesh, and it allows your spiritual senses and your spiritual awareness to heighten. Um, so denying food, denying my flesh,
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on my spirituality, it forced a lot of things to be heard, be seen, focus. And when you fast, you can't just fast like, oh, I'm just not gonna eat. No, when you fast, you have to put scripture to it. You have to put intentionality to it. You have to put prayer to it. Um, you can't. You have to watch your ear and eye gates even more when you're
Mm-hmm.
fasting spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
because when you fast spiritually, you're open on a whole nother level.
Okay.
Like when you fast spiritually, think of a jar. If you have the lid on the jar, nothing can get in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You got the lid on the jar, nothing can get in it. That's just, I'm not eating. But if I'm fasting spiritually, the lid is off and
Mm-hmm.
anything can get in. Anything at that point can get in.
That
So
makes sense.
I was like, I gotta fast and pray. Because I was like, I can't be depressed. I can't be like this. I have stuff I need to do. But this is where my celibacy came in.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I was not in a relationship, but because at that time I made a whole heart commitment to God. Whole heart. I made a complete commitment to God and was intentional on falling in love with Him. Was intentional on following His word. Intentional on getting to know Him. Intentional
Mm-hmm.
on every aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Not only
Okay.
was I intentional with Him, I was intentional with the spiritual gifts that I knew I had. So that's why I studied the spiritual world so heavy, good and bad. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
good and bad, I mean the dark world, the new age world.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to know what they was doing so I can know how to pray. So I can know what to do. So I can know, oh, I'm going to the store and I
Mm-hmm.
think the shirt is cute, but the shirt has a witchcraft symbol on it. And I just bought it because it was cute, not knowing that I'm opening my spirit to something. And a lot of people don't understand it, but I'm not going to get into it. But
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
um, I was intentional. And when you have sex with someone, um, humanly, people call them what, endorphins or something. You connect, blah, blah, blah. But when you have sex and you, from the biblical standpoint, that's your husband, that's your wife, that's your connection.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you have sex with someone, you're connected, whether you want to be or not, one night
Yes.
stand or not,
Mm-hmm.
you connected. So
Yeah.
that's where the spiritual spouses come from. And you're like, I'm single. Yeah, but your spirit is married to the last person you had sex with, and the last person you had sex with, and the last person you had sex with.
I get
So
it. It makes a lot of sense.
you connected and connected and connected to different people, whether you want to or not. You be like,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't dating them, I ain't seeing them, but I bet
Mm-hmm.
you their name come up, your stomach flip a little bit.
Oh. Oh God, yes. Yep. Like,
I bet you they
ugh.
be like, oh, I seen such and such. You be like, ugh. Like, why are you saying because your spirit attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to. I did a lot of fasting. Whew, Jesus, I did a lot of fasting, and so I cared more about my relationship with God than anything else. God, my children, God in me. Like I cared about my relationship with God and His purpose, His will for my life than anything else, because I was like, I don't want to disappoint God. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to get to heaven and He be like, well, I told you to do the da 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 da, and
Yeah.
you ain't do it. So
Yeah.
when you have sex, I don't care what your religion is. When you have sex with someone, you're connected with that person. When you
Yes.
have sex, you cannot think properly. When you
Oh, girl. Oh my God. And not to cut you off, but when you broke out one time, I was talking about that until you came back on. I said I had to stop having sex because I couldn't get clear.
you can't
You
think.
can't.
You
Yeah.
you think about that person.
Mm,
That person's inside of you. You want to know what they're doing, how they're doing,
mm,
when they're doing it.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and if you love that person, you have a different connection with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's like, you know what, can't get off work, then I'm gonna have sex, but like it's a distraction. So a lot of athletes, um, they don't have sex the day of or the day before a game. Um,
Oh yeah, I've heard that before.
yeah, so that they can focus. Um, when you have sex with someone, it pulls on you. It pulls on your
Mm.
spirit. It pulls your, like, it's just so many things. And then on top of that, let's
Mm-hmm.
say you had sexual trauma. Just because you didn't agree to that sexual act does not mean that spirit did not connect with you.
Yes, that's very true. Yep.
And that also is a distraction.
Yep.
So um I was like, I have to get my life together. I need to
Mm-hmm.
focus.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do what's right for myself, for my children, for my being, for my purpose.
Yes.
Um at first it became just like, I'm just not gonna have sex because I'm just not gonna have sex. Then it became, um I'm not gonna have sex because I want to focus on my relationship with God.
Mm.
Then it became, I'm not gonna have sex until I'm married because I want to make this true commitment to my husband. I truly want my husband to have my mental, my emotional, my physical.
Mm.
I truly want my husband, the spirit being that was created for Onika. I want him to have all of me. And whatever I
Mm.
have to do to draw that back and get that together and focus on, who God would have me to be, I'm going to do that. So
Mm.
my commitment to celibacy was my commitment to God.
Mm.
So when
That's deep.
you have a commitment, like a true commitment, not I believe in God. When you
Mm.
have a true commitment to a relationship, you don't want to hurt that person. You don't want to
Yes.
do nothing wrong to that person. You don't want to disappoint that person. And so things become easier. You be like,
I
girl, all
get
these men out here. Yeah, but that's
no.
not my man.
Yeah, I really get that. I get that wholeheartedly. I really do.
And
Yeah.
I bring that metaphor up in so many situations, even outside of sex, because I'm like, would you be okay with your significant other going on another date? And you be like, no, I would break up with them immediately
Uh-oh.
because am I going out again?
Oh. Boy, boy, boy.
Can you hear me?
Cheers.
Still can you hear
Yeah. But anyway, like I said, I can relate to again what she's saying is like I was saying in the first episode, like God Lee, like when I read her book, like I had to clutch my pearls a little bit because I said, Lord, she coming for me. And again, just on another level on it, more on the, the awakening level, I guess you can say, like I'm over here clutching my pearls too, because I'm like, God, yeah, yes, 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 I feel you. I get it. So oh Lord, Lord, Lord. It went blank there. But anyway, it's good, man. But this might be a 3-part here because hell, it might be a 4-part. She might get a whole month. It started off as a 2-part, and this might be a 3. You might get a whole month because it's getting good. So we're gonna let it flow like it flow. We lost her. So yeah, we're gonna let it flow like it flow. But I don't want to get too much into my own spiritual, well, not spiritual, but celibacy journey. But like I said, like it's so relatable. What she's going through. I don't think I'm at the level that she's at just yet. But when she mentioned the when you have that intentional relationship, you don't want to do anything to hurt that person. Like when I say my heart jumped when she said that, I said I get that because I'm just sitting here thinking about that not too long ago on on both a spiritual side and a physical side of it, like with the person that I'm connected to, because I want to do things right. I don't want to mess things up. So I wholeheartedly get that. Hopefully she comes back in here. Um, but yeah, it just, I guess for me, I just move differently. I think differently when it comes to this type of stuff. Um, like I said, she mentioned she had to do it to get clear. I get that too because I could not get clear to save my life until I sustained from sex. And I had to do it for everybody is different. I had to do it for a little considerable amount of time because Lord, it was taking a toll on me. And I didn't, and tell you the truth, like I'm not at that time. I wasn't as spiritually evolved as she was, but I didn't know what it was, but I knew, like something deep down inside of me knew I had to get clear from sex first. And when I got clear from that, other things started clearing up.
But
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
so before I forget, because my memory is terrible, I always say to someone, if you are in a relationship, would you be okay with them talking to another person? Would you be okay with them entertaining another person? And some people are, you know. Some people is like, long as he or she comes home, I'm fine. Well, I don't share.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
I'm not.
selfish when it comes to that. I don't want to share. No.
I'm not sharing my man. So
No.
put that into God perspective. If you are a believer in Christ, why would you feel like it's okay to serve another God, to do what you want because God got my back, to say what you want because God got my back? It's like
Mm.
it's a complete difference between you believing that there's a higher power and having a relationship. That's why I always tell people, forget the fact that you go to church. Focus on your relationship with God, and
Mm.
everything else will fall into place because
I agree. Yes.
you don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt my children. I don't want to hurt my husband. I would not do anything that I'm like, you know what? He ain't going to like this, but I'm going to do it
Mm.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Just yeah. I get
So
it.
if you had that perspective, if you had that mindset, because people are like, well, how do you just not have sex? How do you just not do XYZ? I fear God. And it's not a fear as in scary. And I had to learn that too. It's not a fear as in, oh my gosh, if I do this, I'm gonna be punished, XYZ. It's a fear in a respect manner. I respect God. I love God. I
Mm.
trust God.
Yeah.
So I fear God, and hell is hot, and I don't like it. So
I
it's
feel
like,
you.
you know what? This
I
just ain't
get
gonna
it.
work. I'm not gonna risk having an orgasm and then hurt my like. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get to that. Look at the football player that just got cut for. Gotta watch my words.
I don't know nothing about this, so you telling me something I don't know. What he get cut for? What he do?
Because he had a female visitor, and all he said was she was there just 30 minutes. Sir, you're not supposed to have any female visitors in your room, period, before a game, before whatever. She was going,
Oh,
sir, you just lost 30 million or however $1 million for a nut. Like,
it's not even that serious.
ain't no way.
It ain't that serious. Yeah.
Ain't no way. So, spiritually, why am I going to risk my eternal? There's no coming out from that. Why am I going to risk my relationship because I want to have an orgasm that's going to go away in 2 seconds? And then I could think clearly.
Yeah. 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 I get you. Yep.
So, like, and then, I mean, even when it comes to masturbation, it's like, yeah, it's a second, it's an instantaneous pleasure. It's not a fulfilling pleasure. It's a
No.
moment. Like it's a second. Like it's a moment of pleasure. And then it goes away, and then you go on with your life. Why are you risking that moment for your soul?
Your
Like
soul.
your soul, your soul,
Yeah.
your mind, will, emotion, your forever after. Well, I don't believe in heaven and hell. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. You better figure it out. And a lot of people don't believe in heaven and hell because of relationship that they did not want to have with God, because trying not to go into another subject. But I can't risk it. Do I still get horny? Absolutely. Do I still want that intimacy? Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Do I want that physical touch? Absolutely. But my relationship with God means more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I get that.
If you legit focused on your relationship with God, and then you focused on your gifts that He gave you, you don't have time.
No. I trust me, I'm going through it. I know, you don't even think about it. It's like, oh dang, I have not.
Oh dang, like for real, okay. So for me, it's been officially when did we break up? 2 years.
Oh, I got you beat now. I got you beat.
Well, I hoped I went 3 years, but that wasn't intentional. That was just because I ain't dated nobody. I was just like, you know what, ain't nobody around, so I ain't gonna have sex. But well, you know what? I've had different situations. I had a friend that didn't have sex for 16 years. Physically.
Whoa.
16. I was like, ooh, child, I just do it. So now going into dating, I'm a sapiosexual, okay? I get turned on by intentionality. I get turned on by keeping your word. I get turned on when I see a man do what it is that he says he's going to do. I'm like,
I think we the same way in that regard. I didn't know there was a word for that, sapiosexual, but I think I'm the same way.
That's the on to me, and I'm like, child. Wait a minute.
I love a great conversation. Somebody like has a great conversation and not one mention of sex comes up.
Not at all. And it's like, oh my gosh, you gotta have a conversation for it. And then about legit stuff.
Legit stuff, not no stupid stuff. Legit conversation, yeah, and not one mention of sex. I love it. It's just like, oh yes,
it's a thing. And so dating with that, it weeds out a lot of people.
Oh, that's another thing, but that's a great thing. That's a great thing.
It weeds out a lot of people, and it weeds out the people who are only there just for sex. So, if you're having a conversation with me and your only intention is to have sex with me, that's going to come up. So then, that weeds you out. But then when you have somebody and you're legit conversing with them, you're legit having conversation with them, you're legit spending time with them, and sex is not on the table by either one of you, that's such a turn on.
It is.
Oh, Jesus, how am I going to do this? Okay, so, gotta sit back. I can't drink alcohol around you. Can't do it. Not going to do it. Can't do it. If I'm already attracted to you and you're doing these things that are not common in today's dating world, I'm not drinking around because I'm going to have sex with you. That's it. It's not no think about it. I'm going to have sex with you. Hey, Mika, can you come over to my house? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Literally not.
Wait, well, you got to know. That is...
You better meet me at a restaurant.
Yeah. I was dating somebody for about 8 months, and we can't be alone. We can't be alone because I don't have the willpower right now because
I had the willpower by myself. You want me to say no to you
in person?
All the right stuff in person? Are you?
Yeah. I can't do it. I couldn't do it. So we was never alone. We was always out because I said I can't. I'm not strong enough.
Can't do it. Don't want to do it. I don't want to say.
But I guess I was saying the wrong words. I don't want to say no. I know I'm not going to say no. Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh man. Three. All right. So with that, we're gonna end it right there for today with this week. It's getting juicy. It's getting juicy. I hope you guys are finding some value in this, from her story, a little bit me telling my story about my own journey. I don't know. I'm not trying to inspire nobody to take that celibacy journey. But for somebody that's on it already or thinking about it, maybe this will give you a little insight of what's to come. You never know. But anyway, glad to have you here listening to the talks. Oh, I'm about to say talks. Vibing with TJ podcast. I'm your host. Lord, I'm just frazzled right now because like it's so good. Like it's so good. I can relate on so many levels. But anyway, we're gonna get off of here for this week. I hope you guys continue to have a great Friday. Cheers to the weekend, and I will see you back again next Friday. Peace out.